The Galactic Naval Academy's observation deck hummed with nervous energy as 300 cadets from 47 different species gathered for the final examination. Elsa checked her chronometer for the third time in as many minutes, her triple-jointed fingers trembling against the smooth surface of her exosuit. The Kelosian had spent the entire semester studying human combat doctrine, gravitational physics, and tactical response patterns. She'd memorized every simulation, every historical battle, every variable that might appear in today's test. Across the staging area, Harry slouched against a reinforcement beam, eyes half closed, dark hair falling across his forehead. The human cadet had arrived at the academy 6 months ago as part of Earth's first official delegation to the Concordat military training program. In that entire time, Elsa had never seen him take a single note. "He's sleeping again," whispered Vex, Elsa's study partner, his crystalline form refracting the overhead lights into rainbow patterns. "How does a Deathworlder get accepted into the academy and then waste the opportunity?" Elsa said nothing, but she'd wondered the same thing. Humans came from Earth, a Class 12 Deathworld with gravity nearly triple standard, an oxygen-rich atmosphere that would be toxic to most species, and predators that had forced humanity to evolve as pursuit hunters with terrifying endurance. When the Concordat had first made contact, xenobiologists had been horrified by human capabilities, bones like reinforced titanium, muscles that could function at 85% efficiency for hours, a healing factor that could seal wounds in days rather than weeks. And yet Harry slept through tactical analysis. He dozed during Professor Quinn's lecture on multi-vector assault formations. He'd actually snored during the zero-gravity combat seminar. "Cadets," Commander Thrace's voice boomed across the deck, his 4 arms gesturing to the massive airlock behind him. "You will be deployed individually into the gauntlet. This is a full-scale combat simulation using hard light projections calibrated to 87% lethality. Your objective is simple: survive for 15 minutes and neutralize a minimum of 20 hostile targets. Your performance will determine your final academy ranking." Elsa's heart hammered in her chest cavity. 15 minutes, 20 targets. The gauntlet was legendary, a 3-dimensional combat maze that adapted to each cadet's species and skill level. Last year, only 60% of cadets had passed. "First candidate," Thrace consulted his datapad. "Cadet Harry Chen representing Earth." The observation deck went silent. Harry opened his eyes, stretched with alarming casualness, and walked toward the airlock. He moved with that peculiar human gait, loose, almost lazy, but Elsa had read enough about Deathworlders to recognize the controlled power in each step. Humans didn't waste energy on unnecessary tension. "Cadet Chen," Thrace's voice carried a note of disapproval, "are you prepared?" Harry yawned, "Sure." "The gauntlet's difficulty has been calibrated to human parameters. Given your world's classification, the lethality rating has been increased to 94%. Do you understand?" "Ma'am?" Harry rolled his shoulders, and Elsa heard the sound of joints popping. A human habit she'd learned indicated loosening muscles. The airlock cycled open, revealing the entrance to the gauntlet, a corridor of matte black walls studded with hard light projectors. Beyond, Elsa knew, lay a kilometers-long maze of corridors, chambers, and vertical shafts designed to test every aspect of combat capability. Harry stepped inside. The airlock sealed behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Immediately, holographic displays materialized around the observation deck, showing multiple camera angles of the gauntlet's interior. Elsa watched Harry walk down the first corridor, still moving with that same unhurried pace. "He's not even in a combat stance," Vex observed. "Is he trying to fail?" The first hostile appeared, a hard light projection of a Krex shock trooper, armored in full battle gear and armed with a plasma rifle. Standard protocol was to use cover, assess the threat, and engage tactically. Harry didn't break stride. The Krex fired. The plasma bolt screamed through the air at 4,000 meters per second. Harry's hand moved. It wasn't a blur. Elsa's enhanced vision could track movement up to 300 frames per second, but it was close. Harry's fingers closed around the plasma bolt mid-flight, and with a casual flick of his wrist, he redirected it back at the Crex. The projection dissolved in a shower of light particles. The chronometer read 2.3 seconds. What? Vex began, but fell silent as 3 more hostiles materialized. 2 Vryn warriors with molecular blades and a Skellig sniper positioned on an elevated platform. Harry pivoted left, grabbed the molecular blade from the first Vryn's hand as it swung at him, moving with the strike rather than against it, and used the weapon's momentum to decapitate both warriors in a single fluid motion. The Skellig's magnetic accelerator round left the barrel traveling at 7,000 meters per second. Harry caught it with his left hand, still holding the molecular blade in his right. He examined the projectile for half a second, then threw it back. The round punched through the Skellig's optics array and the projection disappeared. Chronometer 8.7 seconds. By the void, someone whispered behind Elsa. Harry continued walking. The gauntlet, sensing it had calibrated incorrectly, began spawning hostiles in groups, 6, then 10, then 15. Harry moved through them like water flowing around stones. He didn't fight so much as redirect, using each hostile's attack against another, turning their weapons against them, exploiting every microscopic gap in their defenses. A Thorian heavy gunner's weapon became a club that disabled 3 other hostiles. A Kellarn's energy whip wrapped around its wielder, and 4 companions when Harry simply sidestepped and guided it in a circle. Elsa realized she'd stopped breathing, a dangerous oversight for a Kelosian. The gauntlet deployed its final challenge, 20 hostiles simultaneously in a zero-gravity chamber. This was the test's hardest section, the part Elsa had studied for weeks. In zero-G, spatial awareness became paramount. Most cadets took 8 to 10 minutes here. Harry pushed off a wall with his fingertips, spinning in 3 dimensions. His trajectory seemed random until Elsa understood. He was positioning himself at the exact center point where all 20 attack vectors would converge. For 1.3 seconds, Harry existed in the middle of a perfect killing sphere. Then he moved. Later, when Elsa reviewed the footage frame by frame, she still couldn't fully track the sequence. Harry's hands became instruments of devastating precision, redirecting weapons, bodies, and momentum with mathematical perfection. He used his opponent's attacks to eliminate each other, turning the 20 versus 1 scenario into a cascade of synchronized self-destruction. The last hostile dissolved. The chronometer stopped, 43.2 seconds. The observation deck stood in absolute silence. Harry floated in the center of the zero-G chamber, hands relaxed at his sides. His breathing hadn't even changed. The gauntlet's exit portal materialized, and he pulled himself through it with one hand. When he emerged back into the staging area, Commander Thrace stared at him with all 4 eyes wide. "Cadet Chen," the commander's voice was hoarse. "How? You were asleep. For 6 months you were asleep." Harry shrugged. "I already knew all this stuff, learned it when I was 12. Earth Defense Force Junior program." He yawned again. "Your combat doctrines are really similar to ours, just slower, and you use way more energy than you need to." "Slower?" Thrace repeated faintly. "Yeah," Harry scratched his head. "I mean, no offense, but your lethal threat ratings are based on species with reaction times around 200 milliseconds, right? Humans average about 150. Combat-trained humans are closer to 100. He paused. "Also, your gravity here is like 1/3 of Earth standard. Makes everything feel kind of floaty." Elsa understood then why Harry had slept through every lesson. It wasn't arrogance or laziness. For a human, a product of Earth's relentless evolutionary pressure, the Academy's training was genuinely elementary. She thought about the readings she'd done on Deathworlder psychology. Humans had evolved dodging venomous snakes, outrunning pack predators, throwing projectiles with enough accuracy to hunt prey at 50 meters. They'd spent 200,000 years in an environment that killed anything that wasn't fast enough, strong enough, or smart enough. The Galactic Naval Academy's final exam wasn't designed for that kind of organism. All remaining cadets are dismissed for today, Thrace announced, still staring at Harry. We need to recalibrate. As the crowd dispersed, Elsa approached Harry. That was incredible. Harry smiled, a friendly expression, though Elsa noted the primate teeth designed for both vegetation and meat. Thanks. Sorry if I made everyone look bad. I probably should have tried harder to stay awake in class. He paused. Want to grab some food? I'm curious about Calosian cuisine. Elsa's translator struggled with the casual invitation. On her world, sharing a meal was a significant gesture. But Harry was human, and she was beginning to understand that Deathworlders approached everything, even friendship, with that same terrifying ease. I would like that, she said. As they walked toward the commissary, Elsa made a mental note to revise everything she thought she knew about humans, and to never, ever underestimate someone from a Class 12 Deathworld again.